or to exude issues on the basis of practical governance versus corruption. Trending in our land space, our media space, in the platforms or on the platforms has to do with some of what have been termed as extra spending, outside of the legal process, and thoughts are being passed on to the current government. I think it claims everybody's mind that these things should be looked at very critically. But we want to talk about practical government or governance, and I just want to add to my colleagues who are calling for kind of attention in that direction. Should understand that in essence, to be able to effect proper governance, decisions must center around proactiveness. There must be proactive decision-making process in order to ensure that things appropriately happen. What I would call anticipatory governance. That's what should be allowed for the productivity and the efficiency of government. We have transitioned from one government to another. Thus, there are requirements for that fulfillment to be at its best. I just want to, before entering into that discussion, I want to make it clear that the budget, 2023 budget assigned by me, has not been the one that was printed. Those amounts that were captured in the budget were not those amounts that I as Speaker and the Honorable House of Representatives give approbation to. It is not what we agreed upon. So I see it to be a little bit a departure from fiscal discipline. And I think there's a need that this government learns from what has happened to, stress on or to epitomize the quote of Norman Cousine. He says, history should serve us as a vast early warning alarm system. And what has happened in the past should serve as a lesson to us today. So I would like to have it very clear that again, let me apologize to the listening audience or the public for this break-in. It was not expected. It was a very special call. So I hope the public will give us some kind of leverage on this. That said, I did not sign the budget as was reported. And I think there's a need for government to allow the process to work. I hear people claiming about the issue regarding the intervention about NASCA and the action taken by the now Minister of State. And some people are calling for his resignation. I think in my mind, based on objective reasonableness and in line with anticipatory governance and practical government, I think in my mind, the action of the minister may not have been scripted, written as a matter of policy or law, that it happens. But I thought it was more proactive and it saved the state. So what I will suggest or recommend to my colleagues is to just give a kind of caution to the minister or to the government and all other governments that may come later, or to officials of government. Reason being is that if there should be some questions asked and some investigation being conducted, I think also the previous government or the executive branch or the presidency should also be questioned. If for any reason the government is in charge and the government is involved in the transitioning of one government to another, there should be requisite actions taken to be able to make the transition smooth. Since the government at the time, or the government of the day, did not act, in my view, and in the minds of reasonable people, that is tacit consent. Tacit consent, it means that that government may have not wanted to do it, but the action taken by actors that are not the official persons to act at that time was also not wrong, because they could have done it, they should have done it, and they didn't do it, and it was a matter of necessity. So I feel in my mind that people should understand that the issue of anticipatory governance sufficed. I'm not defending it, but had it been, perhaps carried out by the government of the day, then maybe those actions, as unorthodox as they might have been, could not have been taken. So I think, sound minds should understand that life itself takes shape and form based on the situation. So it was situational judgment that was carried on that moment. And the fact here, we should all be very much careful as to how we move forward. Liberia belongs to all Liberians. There are issues that are happening today, and I feel that those issues that have the propensity to cause loss of focus should be discouraged. People should be able to bring in good pieces of advice to make this government work for all Liberians. This government of the day is not a government of the Unity Party. This government of the day is not a government of MDR. This government of the day is not a government of EFF. This government of today is not a government of special interests. It's a government of all Liberians, and as such, we who are Liberians must be able to embrace this government and give constructive pieces of advice. And so what did happen, in our view, is best that this government focuses on those actions that derail the process and see how realignments, remediations, solutions can be found. Coming back to the issue of governance or practical governance versus corruption, I would think in my mind the action of the minister then does not amount to corruption. We can question though the actions about the formulation of the budget. If one forms the budget is what supports government programs and policies. And I'm stunned, as I speak, that the government, the past government, did not live up to the actions we took as constitutionally elected officials. And as a speaker, one who appends his signature to the budget is not in the know of what is happening. I can give you, examples. The examples are simple. I can share with you a copy of this document as a piece of copy of the budget. This is the draft. The draft budget of 2024 but I do not have the full budget of 2023. And the budget of 2023, that which is in the budget, is not what I, was able, and the legislature, the honorable legislature, House of Representatives, approved or passed. Reason being is that we did not, give, for instance, for the legislature, we did not give the legislature $67 million. $67 million plus is what is seen in the House of Representatives, in the legislature, the National Legislature budget, and there you have, the leadership, of the legislature being giving, their various remunerations in a kind of I would say like a raffle draw, which is not in line with the process, and it makes one to wonder. For instance, the office of the 54th Deputy Speaker was given $4 million outside of what was, approved. What was approved, though, we still are yet to confirm what has been approved. But what we have seen in the 2024 budget, because it will be able to give you a kind of snapshot of the previous budget. The 2024 budget will give you portion of what happened in the 2023 budget. So for the 2023 budget, according to what is being displayed in the 2024 draft budget, we see the National Legislature was approved of $51,614,330, and what came out was $67,963,832, which for me is a shock. And then for the Speaker, the office of the Speaker, what was approved, from the last budget, which is not accurate. This is not what we passed. You find $1,389,569, but the outturn was $2,216,399 for the Speaker. You have a copy there. Now, the outturn, it means that there is a little more than what was agreed upon. Sometimes things necessitate these shifting, but this shifting should not be alarming. I would say on the record that the request of the Speaker, did not reach to what is being spelled out here. I want to thank the Honorable, the former Comptroller General. He was one of the few persons who tried to intervene. Most of the requests of the Speaker office are still lying in the Ministry of Information, and at the same time, the Central Bank Governor, Central Bank of Liberia. And it has been shocking us that it was deliberate to undermine the office of the Speaker then. Issues regarding Speaker wanting to make official trips, requests made were sent to the Ministry of Finance and not honored. As far back as 2018, even the trip, when a trip was called by the IPU, the International Parliamentary Union, IPU, there was a trip called in Qatar. I had to pay the fare of the various participants that went along with me there, because there was no honor of the request made. Though Liberia is a founding member of the IPU, one of the longest serving members of the IPU, that did not happen. Even to send people to ArcelorMittal to investigate when there were problems, where ArcelorMittal attempted to take over the Solway, exploration site. At the same time, its failure to protect the water bodies where ArcelorMittal was not building housing units, providing safe drinking water for the people. At the same time, its failure to construct a kind of a concentrator to add value to the ore being extracted or to create the atmosphere of beneficiation. There was no money at that time available. We have to personally pay. Also, the issue of sending people to B Mountain when there were problems there, where people were complaining about unfair working environment and unsafe working environment and lack of benefits for the workers and services. I was also able to intervene, pay lawmakers fair to go there, at the same time provide the atmosphere to keep them safe and to do their work effectively. To go to Rwanda, Kigali, I also had to pay a way of lawmakers to go there, because our intention was to ensure that the Liberian government budget, exceed the $1 billion mark. We decided that it was possible that Liberia will have a budget that will far exceed $1 billion. So we put in place Economic Reconstruction Committee. Some people, that we felt could have been able to appropriately exploit the situation by going to have knowledge acquired from Rwanda, because Rwanda is very effective and efficient in terms of productivity and governance process. So we went there to acquire its own way of doing things. Beforehand, we have been engaging European countries. We were able to even engage the Germans. The ambassador visited us because Germany optimizes in terms of revenue generation in the forest sector. The wood industry, Germany is the one in the world that is best at having returns, benefits from the wood industry. So we just thought that with the huge hot forests we have and the logs we have, we could learn from Germany and then also get the best. We also felt that Norway, exploits the blue economy, has so much from the fishing industry, and we should learn. And we also inform government to ensure that happens. And interestingly, Maryland County is one in the world or in Africa that is endowed with what you have sea cucumber. Sea cucumber is a species of fish in the bottom of the sea, and is priced $3,500 per kilogram, and that is in Maryland County. We engaged government. Government told us at the time that a group from Dubai was coming to harness that opportunity, and Liberia will get its fair share. That and many more. We think that it could put Liberia on a very good frequency in line with other nations. So we felt the issue of practical governance is economically based, is politically based, and is socially based, because when you are able to derive palpable benefits from the people, for the people, they will be happy, and the tension in the country will be less. So we feel that we must do the right thing in ensuring that we move forward. I would say to my friends, to all patriots, Liberia is all that we have, no matter who is leading the country. For us, we should always support that which is good. In my view, the fact here is that we should be able to collate, gaps and weaknesses at this time, and give appropriate, suggestions so that things can be better for everybody. Because I was involved in trying to de-escalate tensions in this country. I was able to go to the University of Liberia. At the time, my vehicle was torn and the windshield cracked or broke. I had to change that vehicle because of that accident. And also, the June 7 were also involved in speaking to the citizens who were aggrieved and wanting to carry on the demonstration, though they demonstrated, but we spoke with them. So I was in government then. If we should have spoken to them, and if we could have spoken to them at the time, I think this time it's best that we start engaging the government constructively and make sure that those things that we are, sensitive about are being considered. Then, if all options are exhausted and no attention is given, then alternative measures, peaceful, can be carried out. Because yes, in every democracy, peaceful assembly is necessary. Complaining and addressing matters to your representatives or elected representatives are also important, so that there can be redress. But what we are seeing here is that there are a lot of things before us that we should capture. Now, if you are to compare, some of these gaps that we're talking about, the issue about what has been supposed to be legal and what is now happening as something that is not legal. But I would say that there are certain things that happen do not amount to criminality. And the action of the Honorable Minister of State, in my view, does not amount to any kind of grave problem that will undermine the process of governance. The reason here is that if we have a budget, if you went on, page 12 of the budget, what was allotted for the Ministry of State was $14,732,093, and the outturn was $20 million. Now, you have the hospital, agriculture ministry, that budget was reduced, but you had about $6-7 million added to the Ministry of State. Now, if you went to the National Security Agency on page 182, you will see the budget approved to have been $8,947,884. Again, I repeat, $8,947,084. But the outturn of the budget was $28,384,891. Yes, maybe there's justification. So it's more than the issue of discussion that has to do with the less than $1 million. The issue of the Deputy Speaker money going to $4 million is far more than the issue of the $500,000 that has been discussed for the smooth, and a proper arrangement for the inauguration. The inauguration is constitutional. The inauguration is that which put the nation on a pedestal, because it helps everybody for the nation to be seen and be showcased. Yeah. So it's a good thing that these things happen. So we must, make our judgments not to be seen as kind of personal, not to be seen as subjective, but we have to work within the scope of objective reasonableness. So I would say that let us take our time and let us serve the purpose of our people. Now that some of us now are out of government, but we feel that we should always be the leaders that this country has made us to be. What is right, and what is wrong is wrong. And you also go to the Executive Protection Services. The budget there was about $8 million. It went to $16 million. So when you look at these things and you're making comparison, we must be able to look justly. The equitability of things, matter a lot. It matters a lot. So the fact here is that let us, take a step back. Let us be able to support the process. We cannot persecute the Liberian people. We cannot act in a way that it will undermine the growth and development. Because at the end of the day, it's what we have done. Now, if we say we have done something that is good, and we should just urge this government now to capitalize on what we've done, to build on what we've done, and make it better. Because when Liberia is good, it's good for all of us. Government is like rain. It should fall on everybody. You will not have any choice as to who the rain falls on, which house it falls on. But when you come in these kinds of theater, it's better we come with frankness and sincerity. I would say, frankly, that we need support to everybody, to give support where support is needed, and move this country in a manner and form, in a direction that our people will have hope. And we have to have optimism, and with the kind of characteristics that we show, will give our people hope. Our people should never be left in the dark. When you look at the issue of practical governance, it also comes with the economy. We must make rational economic judgment. For instance, we talked about the Fiscal and the maritime. I mean, that one aspect of the economy. And maritime, thanks to Edward Stanton Jr. He was once the Secretary of State under Truman, President Truman, and then President Dwight Eisenhower. And later on, he became a businessman. He was the one that drafted the Liberian Maritime, program. And the Liberian Maritime program is one that has been helping us. I call it a strategic economic shelter for Liberia. I call it also an economic low-hanging fruit, because we labor less in a direction and we got more. So that must reflect on the people as it was intended by Edward Stanton. There should not be an issue where people will be complaining about funding for schools. I mean, let us honestly do what's supposed to happen. Now, I was giving an example. For instance, the Deputy Speaker of the 54th Legislature, the budget, if it is to remain like that for the next 3+ years, there is a budget for over 3 years that have been spent in 1 year. A budget that was never, approved. It was a budget that was spent as outturned. Instead of 1.1 million, there was 4 million plus. So we have that disparity. These are things in my mind that are reasonable now to be talking about. The issue about 1 million or $500,000 in my mind is so minuscule that you cannot compare it with these disparities that have been happening. But for the issue of the executive protection services from 9 to 16 million, one can understand. Maybe there were other things that came about, notwithstanding which we are being informed. The issue about the executive protection services, the National Security Agency, from whatever it was, from 8 million to 28 million, in my view, is supposed to have been discussed. But it's important because these are sensitive areas, and maybe the parameters of protection might have extended. So those things, in a briefing, should happen, and we see how we work together. We should coordinate. But the issue of having a successful, inauguration, I think it cannot be in any way, I would say, minimized in our thoughts, because it's symbolic, it's constitutional, and there was no way. I would say that the action taken was based on tacit, T-A-C-I-T, tacit consent, meaning that it was not spoken, but the previous government saw it and allowed it to happen, because that was the job of the previous government. So moving forward, we want to make sure that all Liberians are given the desire, support that they need, respect and protection. I would like this government to discuss the issue about maritime thoroughly. In my view, in fact, the contract maritime should be either terminated or critically scrutinized. Either it be terminated because it has always been marred with oddity, or obscurity. It has been full with, with strange behavior. In fact, Turner of the Uncover Finance is a publication in Great Britain. He's an investigative journalist called Turner. He says that the action of maritime has always been with skullduggery. meaning that it has been with swindling tendencies, trickery, defrauding. At the same time, he said it was full of mystery, mystery, almost like something that you don't know what is happening. He also went on to say, along with the Daily Maverick of South Africa, he said that 99% of the legislature, 99% of the executive, and 99% of the Liberian government, and 99% of the citizenry do not know, the whole issue surrounding LISCA, how the fundings, are being spent and how much is given to the Liberian government. I think that must be examined by this government. We have been following up. When we attempted to follow up, the LISCA authority in Virginia, we started our investigation in March of, in fact, February, February of 2023. Even before that time, but we actively got involved by us calling the actors in the maritime industry. We called the office of the of LISCA, the Liberian Registry in Monrovia. And they were very frank, and they gave us information that was beneficial to us in the state. It led us to London. We went to London, and we also met with the maritime office, and they were very supportive, and they were very much also engaging, and they told us exactly, Liberia's progress. And Liberia was almost number one, though unofficial, but officially in 2023, Liberia would have taken up the number one position over Panama. So we're very happy. So we went to the United States and went to inquire. But the officials, the Liberian officials there, were very elusive. The Liberian representatives there were very elusive. Even the U.S.-based executives with LISCA pretended to be cooperative, because we went to the LISCA office and we did not get what we wanted to. I want to thank the Liberian ambassador, because he made calls before we went there, and we had a kind of schedule set 2 days in advance, because I had to meet members of the Congress before going to the LISCA's office. Since there was a 1938 law that these kinds of programs, revenue generated from those programs, be reported to the United States Department of State. At the same time, be reported to the Congress. So all of these things compel me to make these kinds of, I would say, engagement before going to the LISCA office. When we went to the LISCA office, there was a gentleman who rode the same elevator that we were in. And the fact that, the American executive saw this gentleman with us, it was on the 30th of March, saw this gentleman with us. I was accompanying with my oldest son, because he lives in the United States, and he was able to drive me to the area, and his daughter, my granddaughter. So we went there, and when we then went there, we were able to gain access to the building, and we went into the building without confrontation, and we spoke with one Madame Christine Doherty there. And then she, told us that the information was not available. And at such time, when the information was available, being collated, will be furnished with the information. So we were able to get that assurance from her, and we left. When we left, which was the 30th of March, when we left the 30th of March, and thankfully this is March almost a year later, we're speaking. When we left from there March, and we made some rounds in the United States by meeting up with some Liberian communities, When we came back, we heard that on the 30th, on the 31st of March, meaning a day after I left, the gentleman named Samuel Joe was dismissed because, according to LISCA official, he was the one that invited me at that, facility. So I was a little bit troubled. I then informed the president when I heard that. When I returned to Liberia, I informed the president that this was the case. Even though I came to Liberia before I heard it, and when I got in Liberia, I immediately told the president about it. President Weah told me that it was unfair and government was going to take prompt action because all Liberians everywhere must be protected. I mean, especially when the person is innocent. But unfortunately, actions were not taken in the direction of reinstating the gentleman, or for the gentleman to have his fair justice. I feel that it was an act of enslavement, it was an act of servitude of that institution to abuse a Liberian citizen. So I informed President Boakai, and President Boakai, to his credit, said that intervention would be made. So I just hope that the intervention of Boakai or President Boakai be I would say timely, because it will help as a signal and deterrence for all other Liberians to be treated appropriately as human beings. I don't think any Liberian would prefer preferential treatment, but as he was treated, I feel that it took away his dignity, it took away his civil rights and civil liberties. So it was also an act of unpleasant working atmosphere. So my dear journalists, I want to thank you very much for engaging with us. There are issues that I hope we live and rest with our people. That is, the budget must be looked at critically and must be people-driven. The budget, as it is, I hope it will be one of the best that will transform the lives of our people. I would just want to say that the budget of 2023, as was reported, is not the budget as signed, because it's so odd. So the oddity and the obscurity in my mind is nothing to go by. That is why, instead of improving the issue about agriculture, other offices that may not have the need of a budget augmentation was taken. I'm specific about the office of the Deputy Speaker of the 54th Legislature. How in anyone's rational judgment would think that somebody's budget should come from 1,100,000 to go to 4 million plus? That is obscene. That is insane. And this is what happened. So I think people should not challenge the patience of the Liberian people. Liberian people have accommodated these things for a huge length of time. So we want to say, with all that is said and done, Liberia is all that we have. We must work together to ensure that this government is giving the needed support, and all other governments that will come in the name of Liberia will have to build it. Liberia, being profound to global prosperity, must prosper as a nation. Liberia, as strategic as it is, must be able to be seen as an oasis of prosperity and hope for the people. Optimism must come through the actions of the leaders, and we should not be, fighting each other. We should not be seen as, people that are wish hunting one another. The issue about perhaps tenure, I think that in my mind, it should not be one that will cause distraction. What is supposed to be must be. Liberia belongs to all of us. Tenure has a time span, and let's look at the time span. And if there's a cause for anybody to be removed from any position, for tenure position, there should be remedy. And that remedy should be for cause, and that cause should, people should maybe learn at the legislature for impeachment. I would not want to exempt the previous administration for the same act. I mean, we can catalog what happened and our own advice, because we advise against, any position to be truncated or to be, I would say, obstructed by the previous administration. We saw it at the lotteries. The lotteries had problem, and I think in my mind it was not the best judgment of the government then. The issue occurred at the Laity. It was not the best judgment of the government. We saw it with the issue with IMO in London with Honorable Isaac Jackson. It was not the best option of the government. We also see in a kind of a strange action being carried against Mr. Brown at the LTA. It was not some, because laws that we make should reflect generally to have a general effect. I mean, it should not be specific for anybody, but for Mr. How would I call him? Mr. Mounting, Constable Mounting at the LACC. In my mind, it was strange. It was very strange. I think it was a challenge of governance. The gentleman was there at the head of the LACC, and an action was taken to remove him by carving or mounting law. In my mind, that law was insensitive. It was not timely. It was not the proper thing to do based in the entire scope of democracy, true democracy. So I think it was something maybe personal against Councillor Mountain. So yes, those things happen. No condition is perfect. Those things happen. We advise. Our advice, our pieces of advice not taken into consideration. But now we see it, and the country will be injured if people who are patriots remain silent. Yes, Liberia belongs to all Liberians. In my view, now the Minister of Justice is supposed to be advising wisely. Other advisors that are there, because the Minister of Justice is equally an advisor, but an advisor who is more of visibility, than any other legal counsel to the president. Those persons, like the advisor on legal affairs to the president, is somebody who is there in the mansion and work with the president most times quietly. And that maybe the thought of that advisor will go to the Minister of Justice. If not the president doing it, the legal advisor will do it, and then from there, that man will be able to derive some formula to move forward and then represent the interests of the country. So I would say that it is not late for all of these things that happen. What are happening, those things that are happening to Liberian people. The solutions that should be found by and through Liberian people. So I would say that the issue of tenure, it should not serve as a distraction. We have too much to do to achieve the objective of rescue, as a nation, because this rescue mantra now is for every Liberian. So when we are here, whether in or out, we must be able to rally around and give the best advice. So I would say that we should reduce the exuberance and maybe exude, what I would call, buoyancy, so that Liberia can have what we need, the optimism and other things that can come along. So I would say that we will succeed based on our commitment to the country. Liberia is not short of talents. The only thing that can happen is to be able to encourage people to do the right thing. Things will not be as we may have expected. Things will not be our way, but it should be for Liberia. Whether or not it is to our advantage, but it should be egalitarianistic. It should be for the people on an equitable basis. It must be of human equality. This is what we want. So I would say that the president should take charge. I know that he's in charge. He must exert the courage. I know he's courageous, but we are just seeing it for there to be positive reinforcement. He is a man of inherent qualities that are good. He's experienced. We hope that these things as we envisage, will be able to save the day and help the country, that every Liberian will be in harmony, will live in harmony, will live in peace, will live with adequate security, that the land will be prosperous, and all of our rights and responsibilities can be properly balanced. Thank you very much.
Thank you.